City of Stevens Point Special Common Council meeting, recorded September 30th, 2019.
At 5 o'clock, we will call the Special Common Council meeting to order. Could we get a roll call, please?
Jennings.
Here.
Shore.
Here.
Nabel is excused. Zarazua.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Slowinski is excused. Kneebone.
Here.
Dugan.
Here.
Dalton.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Morrow.
Absent.
Did anybody hear from Alderperson Morrow?
Did not.
He will
I know
be,
he gets hung up with his job sometimes and
Okay.
comes late to some other
and
thing,
he usually does a pretty
so he
good
may
job of
be en
texting.
route.
Yeah.
At this point, we haven't heard anything, so he will be absent.
It's
until
hard, yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
If you would join me, because this is a full meeting of the Common Council, please join me with our salute to the flag.
Where is the flag?
Right behind me.
Oh, that's why I didn't see it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being able to attend the Special Common Council meeting of the City of Stevens Point. We have two items on the agenda. The main cause of the meeting is the recommended mayoral appointment for the Community Development Director position of Ryan Karnowski, who is currently the Community Development Director for the Village of Plover. He would be in attendance tonight, but they have a Plan Commission meeting, and by having the appointment considered tonight, that would allow him to start before the end of October, because he's giving, he has to give Plover a 30-day notice. So we can have him on board prior to November. The information was included in your packet in regards to the resume, the questions that were asked of all candidates, and a memo from myself outlining the process. We have almost all members of the interview team present, with the exception of our Human Resources Manager, Lisa Yakush, who is out on some medical leave. Alder Phillips.
I'd like to move approval of that appointment.
Thank you. Seconded by Alderperson Dalton. Discussion? Comments from the audience?
I have one comment.
Yes.
Wise choice.
Thank you.
Yeah, looking at the credentials, it was, yeah.
It was a team effort, and clearly Mr. Karnowski rose to the top based on the interview team.
I think he'll do us proud.
Good. Alderperson Jennings.
I just have a question about why the information was out on Facebook prior to any formal release of this information and well in advance of any approval. I think that was disrespectful to Kyle Kearns, and I was just curious if there's any insight into why this was out there on Facebook.
Well, I guess I can't answer that question for you. Was it in the media?
It was on a Brandy McCuskey's
Oh, so
site.
just the Facebook post? I can't answer that question for you. Perhaps Brandy can answer the question? Are you interested in responding to Alderperson Jennings? Well, you're here.
We wrote a story based on what was in the agenda in the meeting packet,
Thank you.
with clarification that if it was approved, it would be approved tonight. So the story was very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Jennings, just so you know too, that we had spoken with all of the other candidates prior to sending anything out to the alders, which went out before the agenda. And as a matter of fact, there was, we had to wait for a verbal, no, I'm sorry, we waited for a written tentative acceptance from the applicant, Mr. Karnowski, prior to doing any of that. Does that help?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments from the audience? Hearing none, could we get a roll call, please?
Morrow. Phillips.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Dugan.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
8 with one absent, two Two excused.
With the majority vote, that mayoral appointment is approved. Item number 3 is to award the Police Department a roof replacement project 1912 to Neiman Central Wisconsin Roofing in the amount not to exceed $151,225, including contingency. This was put on here because of the timeliness, since we are already having a special meeting. The bids came in. Those bids should have been sent out to you. I see President Johnson already has those. Director Badoon would have been here. However, there was a communication follow-up, I guess, with his wife, who happens to be out of town, so he had to go home and do some family things. So we have Joe Skabinski here from our engineering department, who hopefully should be able to answer any questions before we vote. Does anybody need any questions answered?
I'll let
Alder Nebo?
I just wanted to make sure it was a fair quote, fair bid, that it wasn't
Joe will need you up at the lectern,
overly,
please.
yeah, that it's consistent with other jobs.
Yes, we did advertise for bids, typically like we do any other project in the city, with notification in the Gazette, and then also on our Quest CDN, which is our advertising website, so.
Okay,
Oh, if you could stay, please. May I?
absolutely. President Johnson?
They left $100,000 on the table. I mean, that's a big gap between them and commercial. That's unusual, to leave that much money sitting. I'm assuming we've checked their credentials and their capabilities, their ability to, staffing, their financial capabilities to perform the job, et cetera.
We also have Chief Skiba here who can answer, and I'll leave it up to you two to decide. Maybe both of you want to speak, that's completely okay.
So when we have to submit capital requests, obviously this came before the council last year.
Right.
And so this is within, and so of course we seek estimates ahead of time. So this in front of you is within that range. We had sought approximately what you see the request is. And with that said, part of the reason it's coming to you as late in the year as it is because this is the first large capital that I was working on, and with the assistance of Streets to get this accomplished. That's why it's a little bit late. But to speak to your question, this quote is definitely within the realm that we got from estimates from last year. So I would say that it is more realistic than the other quote. And we did check into their references as far as other commercial work that they have done, and so we feel confident that they'll address the needs that we have with this building.
Always skeptical when I see a gap like that between two bids.
And I would say partially, and the reason I referenced the time of the year, because of their plate being full already, those that sometimes hop into the bidding war will
That's what I-
say,
yeah.
I'm busy, but if you want me to do it, I'll do it for X. And so
Sure.
I believe that is the reason for the spike in the other.
So previous quotes were in the 100, 150, 175,000 previously?
They were in that ballpark, and that's why the capital request was in this
Okay.
range.
Okay, any other questions for either the police chief or Joe Skabinski? Thank you both. With that then, Alders?
Move approval to award the bid to Neiman CW Roofing out of Linden Station, Wisconsin.
Thank you. Seconded by Alderperson Nebo. Any further discussion? Comments from the audience? Hearing none, clerk, would you please call that roll?
Jennings,
Aye.
Shore,
Aye.
Zarazua,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Slawinski, excuse, Kneebone,
Aye.
Dugan,
Aye.
Dalton,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
And Morrow
and
is
Morrow
absent.
is
He's
absent.
still absent.
All right, so 8-0, the motion is approved. Our agenda is exhausted, and we are adjourned at 7:10.
5:10.
I'm sorry, 5:10. 5:10, sorry, my fault.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.